see how you do under pressure. Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it.
God, brand new song. I gotta switch up the video. I just haven't had time to switch up the video yet. For everybody watching on TikTok, sorry you couldn't see the video, but you could hear the song. The song is hot as fuck. I don't remember who it is by, but it's hot as fuck. Anyways, it is fire. We needed something. We needed to change something up. We changed it up quite a bit. But everybody, welcome to the Fireflies Wrestling Podcast. My name is Sean. My co-host here, Chris. Today, what is today? I can't even see on my. Okay, today. Yes. So today is Sunday, January 12th, 2025. I'm gonna get to that in a second. Oh. The year of the snake, the year of Jake the Snake Roberts. The year of retirements, because we're having a retirement of John Cena and potentially old William Goldberg. Bill Goldberg being yeah. Anyways, we're gonna do what we always do at the beginning. We're gonna crack whatever energy drink that we got going on. Chris, what are you drinking on? Monster?
Green Monster, yes sir.
Green Monster. I'm drinking on the Tropical Celsius, and then I got some water next to me. It's gonna be a lengthy motherfucking show. For everybody on TikTok that hasn't been here and you've never seen our shows before, we might be bringing it to TikTok if I can figure this whole thing out. Anyways, we're going to cover today in wrestling history. So we're going to look back throughout the history of wrestling, and we're going to cover what happened today in professional wrestling, all professional wrestling. We might go into depth some of these things. Second, we're going to talk about Raw. We're going to talk about NXT, and then we're going to talk about SmackDown systematically, and then we're going to cover what the future might look like. But anyways, before we get into all that and before we start talking about wrestling, Chris, how was your week?
The week was okay, man. Got to celebrate Amy yesterday. I got screwed over with a bad sunset, so I'm going to try and do that tonight. Week was okay, man. I felt like this week went really, really long. Like, it was longer than usual. Went to Kickin' Wings yesterday. Tried some new wing sauces. Supercross season started yesterday, so pretty excited about that. Otherwise, I'm all right, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm getting over sickness. Chelsea, my girlfriend, she's sick. She's got like a gnarly ass flu, man, and like I got
it's going around. It's crazy.
It's going around fierce too. Like, she's coughing. She's got the hot, the hot flashes, the cold sweats. She's always cold. She sounds like shit. I feel really bad for her. So I've been sick pretty much all this week trying to get over that. Been pumping myself full of Dayquil and that nasal spray shit. But yeah, dude, I feel you, man. This week felt like a drug on, right? Like, I was really excited for Raw, and then Raw came, and it felt like no time at all. Like, it was 3 hours, went back to 3 hours, but it didn't feel like 3 hours. And then, the rest of the week was kind of trudging along.
Yep. And I felt like when they hit Wednesday, Thursday is when it just like everything stood still.
Yeah. I feel you, man. I feel you there. But yeah. My week's been all right, man. I'm just planning a trip for next week. I'm going up to the town that I grew up in Pennsylvania, Erie, Pennsylvania. My goddaughter's birthday's up there. So I'm going up for her Sweet 16. Also, my girlfriend's birthday is Friday. So we're going to be celebrating that up there. And, spending the weekend up there and then coming back Monday morning. And planning our trip to Universal, bro.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, Chris lives in Orlando, well, outside of Orlando, Port New Richie. So he's like 2 hours away from Orlando. So when we go down there and we get to see him, I get to see one of my old army buddies that lives down there. I'm excited.
Should we do it? What do you do? When are you doing that again? May?
In May, yeah, right when that new Universal World opens up, like the one that they're combining all of them, like I think it's Harry Potter World, Nintendo World, Star Wars, and another like one or two. They're combining them all together to make one massive world. So we're gonna go down there for that.
Pretty exciting.
And Charlie says, "Happy early birthday to your goddaughter, brother. Hope she has an amazing day." Thank you. But anyways, yeah, man. Today we're gonna talk about today in wrestling history. We're gonna start with today in wrestling history. Like I said, you guys won't be able to see the screen, but I will be able to. And here we go. Today is January 12th. God damn. I got you guys right here. All right. Anyways, today in wrestling history, we got a picture of Finn and Jordan Devlin. Woo, back when he was Jordan Devlin. In 1994, the Steiner brothers and the Quebecers fought to a time limit draw in the WWF Tag Team Championship match at the WWF Superstar taping in Fayetteville, North Carolina. 1998, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash defeated the Steiner brothers for the WCW Tag Team Championships in the main event of WCW Monday Night Raw from Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah. Also in 1998, on the go-home edition of WWF Raw for the Royal Rumble from State College in Pennsylvania, Mark Henry turned heel and joined the Nation of Domination during a tag team match with Ken Shamrock against D'Lo and The Rock. I remember that. Also, Vince McMahon teased Mike Tyson involvement at WrestleMania 14 in Boston. In addition, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson were awarded the NWA Tag Team Championships on Raw. I forgot that Raw had the NWA Championships on it. Like they had NWA. Yeah, it is weird. 1999, China defeated Vince McMahon in an arm wrestling contest and then beat Gerald and Briscoe in a handicap tag team match for the WWF or from WWF Raw and Sunday Night Heat tapings in Beaumont, Texas.
Jesus Christ!
What a time where we used to do pointless arm wrestling matches.
Some of them were good. Some of the segments were good.
Yo, the segment with, and it's not going to be on here. I don't think it's on here, but Scott Steiner and Triple H doing the pose off.
So good. It's so funny.
Yeah. 2001, Rhino retained the ECW heavyweight title against the Sandman in the main event of ECW in Poplar, Missouri. Okay. 2002, Triple H defeated the undisputed WWF champion Chris Jericho by countout at a house show in Lubbock, Texas. This was one of Triple H's first matches after his return since his quad tear in the spring of the previous year. Also, Stone Cold Steve Austin beat Booker T in a no disqualification match. I'm pretty sure that was around the time where, this match took place a few weeks after the infamous grocery store brawl segment.
Yeah, I think so.
God, I love that segment. That's probably one of my favorite segments throughout history.
Price kick an aisle jackass.
When the sun hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's all right. 2004 on WWE Raw from Uniondale, Randy Orton retained the Intercontinental Championship against RVD in the main event. This was their official televised rematch after Orton won the title from RVD at Armageddon in December 2003. Also on the show, Goldberg destroyed Matt Hardy and Mark Henry. Jesus. Was that? I'm pretty sure that was when Randy Orton started the Legend Killer. Like
I think
around
so,
2003. Yeah. 2005, at the OVW TV taping in Louisville, Elijah Burke retained the OVW Heavyweight Championship against Matt Morgan. Also, Bobby Lashley defeated.
Oh my god!
Bobby Lashley defeated Robbie Dauber, and Mark Henry was victorious in a handicap match against Chad and Tank Toland. I have no clue who those guys are.
They're probably wrestling today.
Yeah. 2008, at ROH Transform in New Jersey, Eric Stevens retained the FIP World Heavyweight title against Bryan Danielson. Shawn Michaels defeated 2009. Shawn Michaels defeated John Cena 25-minute main event on WWE Raw from Sioux City, Iowa. God, 25 minute.
Phenomenal.
They had a phenomenal series. 2012, Bobby Roode retained the NWA Heavyweight title against Jeff Hardy in the TNA Wrestling House show in Wallingford, Connecticut. Also, James Storm defeated Kurt Angle. Gail Kim retained the TNA Knockouts Championship against Velvet Sky. And Austin Aries successfully defended the TNA X Division title in a triple threat match against Alex Shelley and Jesse Swanson. Look, I don't know why they keep putting these fucking house shows on here unless they're just really trying to beef up today. 2015, Seth Rollins defeated John Cena in a lumberjack match on Raw from New Orleans. The lumberjacks included The Big Show, Joey Mercury, Jamie Noble, Kane, Fandango, Justin Gabriel, Curtis Axel, and Cesaro, all people that hated John Cena. In 2019, the first ever NXT UK takeover took place at the Empress Ballroom in Blackpool, England. In the main event, Pete Dunne retained the NXT UK Championship against Joe Coffey. Also on the show, James Drake and Zach Gibson defeated Trent Seven and Tyler Bate in the finals tournament to crown the first ever NXT UK Tag Team Champions. Toni Storm became the second NXT UK Women's Champion over Rhea Ripley, and Dave Mastiff beat Eddie Dennis in a no disqualification match, and Finn Balor defeated Jordan Devlin.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the same show Walter debuted on.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I don't know why. No, that's the next one. 2020 at NXT UK Takeover Blackpool 2. So that was the next one. All three NXT champions retained their titles. In the main event, NXT UK champion Walter. No, that was the year before. You're right. Walter bested Joe Coffey. In the first title match of the night, women's champion Kaylee Ray beat Toni Storm and Piper Niven in a triple threat match. What a fucking match. Gallus, so Wolfgang and Mark Coffey, retained their NXT UK Tag Team Championships in a fatal four-way match against Imperium. So Fabian Aichner and Marcel Bartel. God! I forgot that they had different names.
Yep.
Marcel Bartel. So much better than Ludwig Kaiser, in my opinion.
I think
the Grizzled Young Veterans. What? Do you think so?
I think so.
He's taken it and made his own. The Grizzled Young Veterans, so James Drake and Zach Gibson, and Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews. They had a phenomenal good match. In 2020, Tessa Blanchard made history by becoming the first female to win the major company world title as she defeated Sami Callihan to capture the Impact World Championship at Hard to Kill in Dallas. And that is your... that was a shitty booking decision, as we know what happened with Tessa Blanchard. But anyways, that was your Today in Wrestling History. There's no births, there's no deaths. So there is that. Chris, we had kind of a salt and pepper kind of Today in Wrestling History.
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit shitty, a little bit good. But anyways, before I guess next we're going to get into Raw. Now, Chris and I and our other co-host, JR, we all have a group chat going on. And there were some things that were in the group chat that we talked about during Raw. We always talk about events during Raw, SmackDown, NXT. I don't watch NXT, but and I got nothing against it. Just don't watch it. I don't have CW. So, anyways, so we were talking about Raw and some of the concerns that we had because we knew The Rock was going to be on. We didn't want The Rock involved in any way, shape, or form in the Tribal Combat match. We didn't want him trying to hijack the show, which he did on NXT, from my understanding. But we didn't want him trying to hijack the show. Goddamn. Woo! Anyways, so that was one of our major concerns. Another one was that Roman and Solo was going to main event. We thought they were going to main event the show, and we got word that they were not, and that was good. Chris, before we go into Raw and talk about Raw, what were some of your concerns about?
I didn't really have any concerns, to be honest with you. I mean, before the show started, I expressed that I didn't want the Bloodline to main event, which they didn't. I didn't have a problem with the show. I thought it was great. We'll get into that when we get to the end of that show to give my full opinion on it. But I thought it was a great show. Awesome.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get on to Raw. So Raw streamed live from Netflix, their very first episode on Netflix. And let me tell you, there was a lot that I liked about this. On top of that, didn't they stream to like 4.9 million people watched?
Yep.
Or at least homes watched. That doesn't account for how many.
That's just in the U.S.
That's just in the U.S. Like, that doesn't account for overseas. That's a massive fucking number. Those are numbers we don't see ever. I don't think maybe the Super Bowl gets those numbers, but even then, I don't think that they get those numbers. That's especially massive for wrestling. The second thing is the presentation, the camera work, dude. The camera work was on point, top tier, right? Like, if you watch Logan Paul and Mike Tyson, it reminded me a lot of the camera angles that they shot from there, which was really cool. And also the very opening of Raw. We've seen a massive sheet surrounding the ring, and they played a tribute video pretty much, as a tribute to past and letting people know, like, you ain't seen shit yet. If you thought you seen it, you ain't seen it yet. And there was a beautiful mural that was painted of all past and present superstars that they showed, and god damn, it was just beautiful. There was some blunders on the show, and we'll get into those blunders. But once again, Raw came live from LA, and it was a stacked card. There were some things I thought were going to happen that didn't happen, and there were some things that did happen that I didn't think were going to happen. So the show was opened up by obviously the thing around the ring, and we seen it drop after the video played. And then we seen Triple H standing in the middle of the ring, and he asked, "Are you ready?" He again said, "Are you ready?" He introduced The Rock. The Rock came out. He cut a promo pretty much thanking Netflix, and he gave credit to Cody for carrying the company on his back for the past year. I would say he has been carrying it on his back for longer than a year. Chris, how do you feel about that?
So I just want to clarify on the whole thing because people were bitching about him praising Cody. That was Dwayne The Rock Johnson that came out. That was not the final boss.
Yep.
That was Dwayne The Rock Johnson. And the purpose that his presence was there for was not for us. It was for a brand new audience. It was for people who are not familiar with the product. So people need to chill the fuck out and stop bitching about The Rock not going after Cody because it's retarded.
Absolutely, I agree. What's up, Lexi? How you doing? Lexi on TikTok said hi. And then he turned and thanked Roman, his cousin, for what he's done. And so The Rock, cut a Rock promo, and he said finally WWE or The Rock is back on Netflix, and finally The Rock is home. And so, like, we don't know what that means. Yeah, he did announce that it was the largest arena gate in WWE history. We don't know what that looks like. We don't know what those numbers look like. Yeah, and also there's video of The Rock in the back having a shot with Cody. So don't know what that means. Next, dude, the first match on the card, they started off hot. They started off Tribal Combat with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. And I will say, and it's for the Ula Fala, the Tribal Chief necklace. I will say, man, Roman made Solo look strong as fuck. He did the job.
Yep.
He did the job. He did the job for Solo. But ultimately, we seen Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu come out. That was a concern that we had. I said I didn't want the bloodline involved, right? Like Tribal Combat, we seen that in the last one with with Jey Uso and Roman. I didn't want to see that, but they did. They came in, they attacked Roman.
And Jey Uso did not come out.
Yeah, Jey Uso didn't come out. I don't know why he didn't come out, but there may be a reason. We'll talk about that later. We saw Sami Zayn and Jimmy Uso come out. Then Kevin Owens came out of nowhere, dude, and gave a stunner to Roman.
Which completely contradicts everything he's been bitching about this entire time. Because he's essentially still helping the bloodline.
Yeah. And then, apparently I got a restriction on TikTok. Don't know why. And then Cody came out, and Cody made a save and fought him off of the back. Roman ended up dodging a Samoan spike and reversed it into a spear for the win. Paul Heyman is something else, something special. Paul Heyman had the Ula Fala, and he looked like he was crying. And he went to put it on Roman. The Rock came out without music. I'm happy he didn't have music, but he came out without music, walked down to the ring, took the Ula Fala from Paul and put it on Roman. So we don't know what that means. We don't know what that means going forward. He gave Roman a hug, and Roman did the one. I expected The Rock to attack him, but I'm happy he did. It's too obvious. It's way too obvious that he would attack him. So it was really cool to see the story come full circle. Where Roman had the Ula Fala, he lost at WrestleMania, and then Solo stole the Ula Fala and ran with it, terrorized Roman for a while. Him and Roman had the match. Roman is the rightful tribal chief once again. Not that he wasn't, but he didn't have the Ufalafa, as LA Knight would say.
The Ufalafa.
It's crazy, but Bleacher Report gave that match an A. So that's pretty cool.
Well deserved.
Yeah. So next we had a segment from John Cena. He came out and pretty much said, like, hey, I'm going to be, this is the kickoff to my farewell. I thought he was going to wrestle because he had the knee pads on. And typically when he has knee pads on, but he always has knee pads on.
Gotta stay ready.
Gotta stay ready. You never know who's coming out. Dude, he got a huge pop coming out, rightfully deserved. And he said that he's going to be entering into the 30-man Royal Rumble, and he's going to win the 30-man Royal Rumble. At first, he teased and said, hey, I don't see a path to a 17th world title championship unless I win the Money in the Bank, or I win at Elimination Chamber, or I win at the Royal Rumble. I don't think I can win at the Royal Rumble, but hey, I owe it to you guys. So, yeah, really good segment.
Like I said last week, man, I think having him tie Stone Cold, I think would be great for his career, and then having him break Flair's record, I think would be perfect.
Yep, absolutely. I agree 100%. Next, we had the Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. Look, This was and look, I know Chris, like you didn't like the outcome of the match. I thought this was the best match that they've had.
I agree.
It was the best match that they've had. They put it all out on the line for everybody. They busted their ass. We've seen involvement from their Dom and Raquel Rodriguez. But ultimately, Rhea went over. She beat Liv clean in the middle of the ring, and then gave Dom a whatever fucking move her finishing move is. Riptide. She gave Dom a Riptide because Dom pretty much was like, "You won the championship back. I want you now," kind of like a gold digger. And she gave him a Riptide. As she was walking out the ring, she was at the ramp, holding the championship. We got the gong playing for Undertaker. Undertaker came out, went around the ring, and then they shared a moment where they did the little arms up and then the look back. It was pretty cool. Chris, what do you think about that match?
I just hope that this title run of hers is better than it was before. I said it when Liv was champion. I think more women benefited out of Liv being a champion than Rhea, because in my opinion, I don't think anybody benefited out of outside of Liv. Nobody benefited outside of Liv when Rhea was champion. There's no doubt of the star power that Rhea Ripley has. We've all acknowledged the presence she brings to the arena. I just, I don't know. I'm not really crazy about how her booking was the first title run, so I hope she'll prove me wrong.
Yeah.
I hope we see her wrestle more matches and have better stories.
Yeah.
Because there's so many women on that roster that I would have had face Liv over her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, keep her away from Damien.
Yeah.
Like,
they're gonna cross paths again. It's gonna happen.
You also said like you want this to be the end of the Liv and Rhea feud, and I do too, right? Like, I don't want to see Liv and Rhea again for a while. Not that they don't put on great matches, I just don't want to see it anymore. Let's move on to somebody else. We've seen Bayley. Well, it's weird because we've seen Bayley, talking to Adam Pearce, but then something happened on SmackDown with her, so I'm kind of like confused.
I think there's background conversations being had about what the roster should look like moving forward on Netflix and SmackDown, because the great thing about both shows being 3 hours is more talent could be introduced into each show. And we saw it on SmackDown almost 8 o'clock all the way till 11. There was a lot of talent on that show.
Yes.
And obviously with Netflix, there's not as much of a time constraint as everything else. But I think the 3 hours for both shows would be very, very beneficial.
Yeah, yeah. Our next match was Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso, and I enjoyed this match.
It was okay.
It was okay, but I enjoyed it. Definitely not match of the night worthy. Not either one of those men's best matches, but they put on a decent match. It started out with Jey Uso giving a suicide dive to the outside, and or tope suicida, and then we ended up. Drew dominated 98% of the match, just in Drew fashion, just beat the dog piss out of Jey Uso. And then the end of the match was a roll-up. Jey Uso rolled up Drew McIntyre for the pin.
Yeah, it was okay. If there was a match that I would have not even bothered putting on that card, it's that. I feel like the Bloodline had more than enough TV time with Roman and Solo. All due respect to Jay, because I like Jay. Same with Drew. But I genuinely think that there needs to be a conversation where we stop putting so much of one stable on the show, because they did it with Judgment Day.
Yep.
And Judgment Day at one point was opening in the middle and closing the show. Now we're doing the same thing with the Bloodline.
Yeah, very true. But before any of that happened, there was some music that played. I totally forgot about this. And it was a song from Travis Scott. And he came out smoking some of that sticky icky in the crowd.
It was pretty good.
That was like the highlight of the night.
The fact that they didn't even take him off camera because of that was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. I guarantee you he asked and they said, we don't care.
Yeah.
Do it. We're going to push the limits here. We're going to flip the lid a little bit. See what we can get away with. But he walked Jey Uso down to the ring. Jey Uso walked through some of that smoke. And we heard later on that thank God he didn't inhale any of that. So, anyways, so really, really decent match. We'll call it a decent match. And then Michael Cole said screw it and jumped on the table and was yeeting.
Pretty fucking funny.
The whitest yeet I've ever seen in my life. I'm glad that man didn't throw his back out.
No shit.
Pat McAfee is like, you gotta wait for the beat to drop. Yeah. Oh goodness. And then finally, our main event was Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. My God.
This might be the best main event match I've seen on a Monday Night Raw probably since Cena and Punk.
Yeah. Dude, these two beat the shit out of each other. Like, and look, Punk got his ass handed to him.
Yeah. Like,
on many levels, dude. And, like, to the point where the ref was going to call the match, and Rollins is like, I don't want to win this way. I want him to quit, or I want to pin him.
And then Punk coming back and starting to do the same thing with Seth. I'm like, bro, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the match ended. It was a callback to, well, first, he walked out with his brawl out jacket on. Another shot to Jack Perry. I loved it. I didn't really pay attention to that. I was thinking it was more of a callback to Ring of Honor, where he used to wear it and he would come out to AFI. But then he did that against MJF as well and Jack Perry, right? So there's a lot of callbacks on many different levels. And so that was pretty cool. But yeah, the match ended as a callback to his match with Mox, where this is the second Shield member he's done it to, where he gave him the go to sleep. He bounced off the ropes, came back down right on top of him, and he had problems struggling picking him up. Boom. Hit him with a GTS again, and it was beautiful. The fact that Rollins has real life beef with Punk and was professional enough to let him pick up that win shows and speaks volumes to Rollins as a performer. What do you think?
I think whatever beef they had, I guarantee you it was squashed within the first 6 months of Punk being back there, because we've heard nothing but good things about Punk being backstage and all the people that have been having conversations. I mean, there's obviously that line being blurred between the two, and I don't think Seth would just say all the things he said off the cuff and Punk just be like, oh yeah, you could talk about me getting fired and blah blah blah.
Yeah, dude, and good on Rollins, keeping kayfabe. He was on Chris Van Vliet's podcast last week, and I listened to it. I listened to I'm on the 4th episode listening, but I first listened to Seth Rollins because I wanted to see what he had to say about Punk, dude. And good on Seth for being a professional, but also keeping kayfabe, right? And going on that show and shitting all over Punk, right? Right before their match. It was great. I also listened to Rey Mysterio's episode and R-Truth's episode and Sheamus's episode. All really good ones. I'm listening to R-Truth's right now. It's pretty fucking funny. But that was Raw, man. And overall, I thought Raw was pretty solid. It didn't feel like 3 hours. There was a lot of gaps filled. Mm-hmm. The thing that we didn't talk about, the elephant in the room, Hulk Hogan. Oh, Terry Bollea.
Good Lord.
They were going to do a segment where he was going to try and pitch his beer, real American beer, to the crowd. From the moment his music hit to the moment that they went to a commercial, the crowd booed him out of the fucking arena. Now, there's been many different things that have been said in social media, many different things that have been said on the news, many different things that have been said, in the sports realm, because they follow this stuff, as to why he got booed. Chris, why do you think he got booed?
People are fed up with Hogan, man. Nobody likes Terry the person. Nobody cares for Hulk Hogan anymore. Hulk Hogan stands for everything Vince McMahon was as a person. And the fact that he still to this day has not given a direct apology about what he said speaks volume to his person. I have never liked Hulk Hogan. I don't care about the NWO. I've never cared about the NWO. I do not like Hogan, period. Will I deny his impact on the business? Absolutely fucking not. Because he changed the course of what WWE is right now. Yeah. He is a direct factor of that. That being said, everything in WWE right now is better than anything that has been done previously. I'm not talking about star power, because you look at the Attitude Era, we had The Rock, we had Stone Cold, we had Too Cool, we had Y2J. We had so much talent. I'm not talking about star power. I'm simply talking about backstage, the morale of every single talent that's there. I'm sure there's maybe one or two or three or four people that aren't happy with their position, whatever, but that's normal. And I think financially, the company is in a lot better space than it ever has been. And of course, the TKO thing helps. But I think the absence of Vince McMahon has been the greatest thing for this entire industry. Because it exposed all the problems that AEW has as a company. Because their identity was everything anti-Vince. How many people can go out of their way to say they don't like Triple H? Like in the business.
Not very many.
Ends with Jesse Ventura, who all of us thought was dead to WWE because of Vince. Scott Steiner, of all people, has made amends with Triple H. That speaks volumes to where this business is with WWE. But back to Hogan. Hogan is a piece of trash. So are his fans. I don't care if there are my personal friends that are Hogan fans. I don't. Because Hulk Hogan is a piece of shit.
I agree. When I was a young kid, I grew up a Hulkamaniac. And then when I became older and much wiser, I became a Macho Man fan, because I realized how toxic of a human being Hulk Hogan was. And it just it becomes proven over time, time over time, not just with the racist comments that he's made, not just, political shit aside, if you know me, you know who I fall under, that doesn't fucking matter. But like the racist comments, right? The scandals that have surrounded Hogan,
his son killing somebody.
His son. His daughter making an absolute fool out of her fucking self on social media. Thank God his ex-wife walked out when she did, because that was just a blunder waiting to happen, right? And like, to cap that off, if you're a massive wrestling fan and you pay attention to wrestling and you kind of pay attention to the ins and the outs of the back, Hogan was a huge reason why a lot of guys got buried. Right? Like he's a prime reason why a lot of guys got buried. There's a reason why we joke around and say, that's not going to work for me, brother. It's because that's what Hogan fucking said, right? Like Hogan he buried people and then turn around and, try to be a big good guy, right? Like there's shoot interviews that people have done, Kurt Angle, Jesse the Body, Mick Foley, where they talk about what kind of person Hogan is, right? And like the character aside, him as a human being is a piece of shit. That's why he got booed.
It has nothing to do with his politics.
No.
Because if that was the case, Taker would have gotten booed too.
Yeah, exactly. Undertaker's beloved. Hogan's not. And like you said, we don't discount the impact that he had on wrestling, right? Like he's brought wrestling to the main stage. He made it more mainstream. And then you have the NWO, arguably one of the biggest heel turns of all time to shake up the wrestling world. But outside of that, he really hasn't done much. Like we remember Captain America.
Huh.
Right? Like, I mean, what has he done? He could have put Brock over and he didn't.
Could have put over Austin. He didn't want to.
He could have put Austin over. He didn't want to. It's crazy. It's madness. But yeah, off the Hogan thing, man, altogether, I thought Raw was a great show.
I thought it was better than everybody wanted to give it credit for.
Yeah. And, somebody on here said, oh, Raw was just another house show. It wasn't. Honestly, I mean, maybe the amount of matches, but they had a lot to cover, right? Like the first episode, you got to make it feel special. And they did. They showed
Not
a
only
lot.
that, man, but like, I feel like if you go back and watch beginning to end, what was that show about? It was, here's our platform. Here's why you should care about WWE. Here's all our stars. Here's all our champions. And then here's some stories that we're going to put in here.
Yeah.
Roman and Punk, two of the biggest stars on Raw with Rollins and Solo, even though Roman and Solo should have been on SmackDown. But here are our biggest stars of WWE and why you should give a shit. Here's John Cena, who has carried the company on his back for a long ass time. That is all that show was Monday. That's literally it. It is not that complicated.
No. And they also announced WWE 2K25, which is cool. It looks like
teasers,
informally announced it.
Yeah.
But it looks like we may have our cover guy in Roman, which is going to be like, what, his third or fourth cover?
Yeah, his third one, yeah.
It's going to be insane. And so, we have that, which is great for them to announce, informally tease it on Raw. But also, right, like it just like you said, it showed, here's our platform. This is what we're about. These are some of the stories. The only thing that I wish that they would have brought to the show, but I'm glad that they didn't, was Penta. And they showed a vignette for him, and they confirmed it to be Penta, right? Like it said Penta on the mask. But it looks like we're going to be getting Chad Gable versus a mysterious luchador, and that's going to be Penta. And
it's a good thing they didn't put him on that show. He would have gotten massively overshadowed and forgotten about. And see, again, this is the key differences between Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Because, again, I go back to this example every single time because I feel like he has never gotten a solid foundation because of injuries and because of this night. Brian Danielson and Adam Cole debuted on the same night. Yeah. What is more talked about? Brian Danielson. Yep. Who was more talked about that entire time before he had his last match? Brian Danielson. Yep. Because Adam Cole has been injured. Adam Cole has been booked like shit. And now they're going back to bringing back NXT 2019. Yep. That is the entire problem around debuting people just because. Yes, Raw on Netflix was a gigantic fucking show. But you do not put somebody who's coming into the company on the same card as The Rock, Roman, Punk, Rollins, Cena. That is a fucking mistake if you did that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, too, if I'm not wrong, Raw is going to be from San Francisco this week, and that's closer to where Penta's from, right? So, like, giving him that ability to travel a short distance and be there, was great. And so I'm glad that they didn't debut him. At first, I was kind of like, man, that fucking sucks, right? But, like, it's good. But, like, what do you do with the New Day and the LWO now, right? Because we were promised a tag team match.
See, but they did. I think they did that whole thing right, though. I like that New Day was backstage and they had the bitterness about them of not being on the show. So it's kind of like, yeah, I would have loved them to be on the show, but I'm kind of glad now that they've had the whole Topanga thing, because we know how big of a Topanga fan Xavier Woods is. So they had that on camera. They have the New Day basically self-destructing because of their behaviors and what's been going on. So, yes, I would have loved to see them wrestle, but at the same time, I'm glad they did backstage stuff instead.
Yeah, I agree. So Raw was great. I enjoyed it. NXT, man, there's 2 championship changes, 2 title changes to very worthy people. So let's cover NXT. I'll sit here with you and we'll cover NXT.
All right. So this week we had NXT New Year's Evil came out of Los Angeles, California in the Shrine Expo Hall. We started off with Roxanne Perez and Julia. I'm going to say this every single time we bring her up, man. Roxanne Perez is a very special talent. Go back to her match with Thea Hale, Great American Bash, I believe it was last year. One of the greatest women's matches I've ever seen out of people their size. We talk about AJ Lee all the time. AJ Lee is one of the most innovative women to be in that era that she was in. Roxanne Perez is a mirror version of AJ Lee, and it's so cool to see her do so good against big talent. We had Cora Jade come out, try to interfere, try to cost Julia her match again. Julia was not having it. She was going to get her moment, and she got her moment. She beat Roxanne Perez, and she is now our new women's NXT champion. Phenomenal match, man. I say this every time to you and anybody who will listen. NXT, in my opinion, is the most consistent show week to week. I think they have the best fan base, and I think they have the best roster right now. You could argue that the veterans and everything that are on the main roster have more star power because they should over development talent. Yeah. But when you see how good and hungry these in-ring guys and girls are on NXT, man, it's phenomenal to see.
Yeah.
So then we had Eddie Thorpe faking another injury backstage as everybody's preparing for the triple threat match later that night. Then we had a Javon Evans promo where I don't know if this is a legitimate injury or if they're trying to sell it as a story, but Ethan Page supposedly broke his jaw and his jaw is now wired shut.
Yeah.
He cut a promo through his teeth and was not moving his jaw at all. So I think it's a legitimate broken jaw injury.
Wow.
Pretty good fucking promo for somebody you couldn't really understand.
Yeah. It's like Kanye through the wires.
Yeah, exactly. Then we had a bakery match right after. We had Cora Jade versus Stephanie McCurve versus Kelani Jordan versus Lola Vice. These women killed it, man.
Even Lola.
Huh?
Even Lola? We know your love for Lola.
She was okay.
She's growing on me.
Yeah, no, she's definitely not growing on me. Great match from everybody. Stephanie Verker picked up the win. Then next up, Ava informs the Unholy Union that they'll be battling Metaphor, which is Lash Legend, and Jakara for the Women's Tag Team Championship contendership. Then she also tells Sarah that she's not buying Eddie's injury, and it still will remain a triple threat. Oba Femi admits he attacked Eddie backstage because of what happened. Ava tells Oba that the match will remain the same regardless. Then Triple H and Nick Khan were shown sitting front row, so I think everybody was at their best behavior and doing the best they could in that ring without any botches. So that was really cool to see. Then we got to see a OTM vignette talking about challenging Fraxium. I think OTM is starting to grow a bit. I think they're getting a little more confident in the mic, and they're the two great guys in the ring. So that was really cool to see them cut a promo. Then we had the Fatal Influence versus Gigi Dolan, Shotzi, and Tatum Paxley, and the memes we got out of this match because Sorry, the entrance that that Shotzi was part of. We'll talk about that off camera.
All right.
It was a pretty good match for what it was. Gigi, Shotzi, and Tatum picked up the win. Ava basically gets in the face of Ethan Page and says that everything that he's been doing has been unacceptable and blah blah blah. And Ethan starts talking back to her, and here comes the final boss,
Dwayne.
We got a face to face with Ethan Page and The Rock. And The Rock gave him his props and says that I respect you and everything you're doing. Shook his hand and said, but I may be the final boss, but Ava here is the final boss. And Ethan's like, oh, everybody hates me, but the final boss approves. I dig it. Really, really good segment and a great endorsement for Ethan Page. Yeah. Then we had the fourth match for the NXT Heritage Cup Championship, Charlie Dempsey versus Lexis King. I think Lexis has really come into his own when it comes to his wrestling ability and just his character work. I think he's a chip off the old block. He's just like his dad. Lexis won the match. Papa Pillman definitely smiling down on him after that match. Great back and forth. Charlie Dempsey seems to be working speed matches, so I think they're grooming him for the main event roster hopefully soon. Great back and forth between the two. Stephanie and Shotzi had a little confrontation backstage. Ava set them a one-on-one for the North American Women's Championship contendership, even though Stephanie won that fatal four-way match, which doesn't really make much sense to me, so I don't really understand. But yeah, so we're gonna get Stephanie and we're gonna get Shotzi next week. Then we had the triple threat match for the NXT Men's Championship. Trick and Oba, man, they got some pretty good chemistry for big guys, but man, Oba Femi is just not human. Every time I see that man work, it's just like, bro, how the fuck does this man do some of the things he does? Oba won that match. Fantastic match. I was very surprised they gave Oba the title right away, challenging it for the first time, but I guess it makes sense if they're trying to make – seems like they're trying to make the next Walter in a sense. Or Gunther, rather.
I think they're going to be pushing Trick Williams to the main roster soon.
I think so too. I think the Royal Rumble is going to be there. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, dude. Oh, okay. I'm backing away because there's one more thing that happened.
Yeah. So then we had The Rock come out and cut a 5-minute promo of waffling and gassing himself up. He did endorse the roster. He did praise the NXT women and men's roster, so that was cool. He also clapped back at at the IWC, saying everybody was bitching about me attacking Cody, but now people are bitching at me because I was nice to Cody. He's like, shut your mouth and know your role. I wasn't a fan of him closing the show. I felt like the main event should have closed it, and he should have been before that or something. Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. They got the highest rated show in 5 years. It's the third highest rating that NXT has ever garnered. So props to Ava, Shawn Michaels, and The Rock for putting together that show because it was an incredible show. Yeah.
Did you catch Busted Open with Oba Femi on it recently?
Yeah. He said if Uncle Rock wants to come back and take TV time, him and I will have a problem. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to that feud.
If The Rock could even go with Oba, that would be my problem because I don't want to see Oba slow down for an old man.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean, we obviously saw what he could do at WrestleMania, but he was carried. Let's be real.
Yeah. So before we get into SmackDown, we talk about SmackDown. There was something that somebody commented on TikTok. Charlie Grin, my buddy Charlie, huge wrestling fan, said that there's been news sources coming out saying that that they're having a hard time contacting Melina.
Yeah.
She lives out there toward where the fires were happening in Los Angeles, and so they haven't been in contact with her since. Everybody from us, like I we're just two dudes, but we hope that she's safe and that she's just having phone problems. Yeah, and the second thing is that Malachi Black is done with his contract in AEW.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah.
It is?
I believe so. Happy Sunday. I believe either he's done with his contract or his contract is coming up in at the end of this month or February. So we could be seeing a return of Malachi Black or Aleister Black, however you want to see it. Maybe Tommy End to WWE, and I'm cool with it. I think
needs to be careful. I think we're edging that surface of bloated roster again.
Yeah. I agree. I would love to see him under Triple H's booking.
I agree.
Again. Because Vince didn't know what to do with him. Yep. Vince didn't know how to book him. We know the storylines that were supposed to happen that Malachi Black was going to be performing.
In all fairness to Vince, and this is the only time you'll ever catch me defending this man. Not even defending the booking. When Malachi was being pushed on the roster, it was like 2019 when he debuted in the main roster?
Yeah.
We couldn't properly gauge everything that they were doing with Malachi and with everybody because there was no fans. I feel like when you're doing stuff like they were doing to Malachi, the knock at my door thing with Buddy Murphy and all the people that he did that with, I feel like it could have worked if we had a main roster, if we had a crowd to gauge the reactions for it.
Yeah.
I think he was kept off of TV for a long time at one point where people just stopped giving a shit about it. Yeah. But I also feel like once the pandemic hit, Vince was just kind of like, all right, well, we're not going to do anything with Malachi because the fans aren't here to really defend why we're keeping him around. And Braun Strowman, blah, 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 whoever else got released around that time. Same with FTR when they were part of the main roster. They weren't doing shit. They're just wrestlers. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful way. I'm saying that as your ring work is great, but your mic skills are dog shit. Who cares that you can wrestle good? Yeah,
absolutely. I think one of the things that I didn't like was they made Aleister or Malachi Black look like a bitch when it came to AJ, right? Like, they made essentially what happened was he got saved by Undertaker in that one match. Remember? Where it was right before the Boneyard match. And AJ just kept attacking Malachi, and then they had one or two matches. In the last match, the OC came in and were beating down fucking Malachi, and then out of nowhere, Undertaker shows up. Right? Like, that made no sense, and it made Malachi look really weak. I mean, yes, the Undertaker showed up, great, but it made him look really weak considering he had matches with the likes of like a vicious Johnny Gargano. He had, matches, banger matches with like Cassius Ohno and all kinds of matches in NXT and even on the main roster.
The thing you got to remember about that around that time was there was no connection between the main roster and the NXT guys.
Yeah.
Because remember, when they came over, hardly any of their accolades in NXT were mentioned. Like, you think Johnny Gargano would be in the spot that he was in under Vince? No. He would have probably gotten released a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I like about today's NXT now. People can say that they love black and gold over this NXT all day. I will confidently say this NXT is miles better because, one, we have a women's division where we're not relying on one female to crush the entire fucking roster, go onto the main roster, win the Rumble, and lose a Mania.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Yeah, I agree. And we don't have a women's champion that's like is like putting everybody the fuck to sleep. And when she goes to the main roster, she's not used. Runs through everybody
To be fair, she's still putting people to sleep. It's just not in the ring.
Yeah, it's not in the ring. And then she went to Elimination Chamber, fucking decimated Elimination Chamber and lost at Mania. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
But look what happened at the end of that with that Becky Lynch and Shayna segment. She bit Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
And it was so poorly fucking received that I think Vince is like, yeah, we're not going to have you win anymore.
Yeah. But at any rate, you're absolutely right. I just hope that if he does come, like that he gets a proper booking and a chance to to show. Right, like
him and Penta, both really good in ring guys.
Yeah,
I don't want Penta to come in and get lost in the shuffle.
No,
because again, he's a great wrestler. He's not a promo guy.
No,
neither. Well. Malachi is, but we didn't really get to see a lot of that in AEW that I remember.
Yeah, no. He cut a lot of vignettes. That's about it.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So yeah, I would love to, and honestly, I'd love to see Buddy Matthews come back over. Right, like
he just re-signed.
I know, and that's the shit thing. I would love to see him come back over. I think that those two would work great, and like we even seen Malachi have the understanding that you got to continue on with these storylines, right? So like he took the Black Eye and he carried it into AEW and into the independents, right? This fucking genius. And then he brought Buddy Matthews into the fold when everybody thought that Buddy Matthews was going to be the next dude that was going to be facing him. So he's smart. But you got to give that man the opportunity to fucking show it. And somebody said,
I think that's what Tony Khan missed the boat on, was just seeing potential in the guy. Because the way that I look at Tony Khan and bringing in WWE guys is the same way that people looked at Eric Bischoff when he brought in Bret Hart. Oh, look, we got another guy from WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at Mustafa Ali. I think he's a great fucking example. Why hasn't he been brought into AEW? Why hasn't he been made a world champion? Because everybody who's anybody knows respectfully that Mustafa is not a world champion. He is not world championship material. And that's not a knock at the guy. He's just a good mid-card guy. That's all he'll ever be. Yeah,
absolutely. And if there was any time to do that and put that title on him, it would have been right as he, came to independent.
Got released.
Boom. Put that on, right? And I would say, I just see a lot of people online, saying, oh, if he does go back, if Malachi does go back to WWE, mix it up with Final Testament, have him join the group. No.
It doesn't even make any sense.
No, it doesn't. Have him do stuff with the Wyatt Six.
That could work.
But what connection does he have with Bray, right? He had no mix up with Bray, right? There was nothing there. It would have been great to see that. The Devil versus the Fiend. I would have fucking loved it.
I just think they should give him a brand new slate and see what he can do. Because both rosters have a great pool of talent.
Yes.
Fuck's sake, we can have him come into SmackDown and mix it up with DIY.
Yeah.
He has history with both of those guys.
Very true. And yeah, absolutely. I see where it takes him, but don't throw him into a mix with somebody that he doesn't fucking know.
Don't bring them in if you don't have a plan.
Exactly. So yeah, man, those are two of the biggest stories of the week that I've seen. But let's go to SmackDown, man. SmackDown was good.
And SmackDown was solid, man. They were talking about what happened. They were talking about Tiffany Stratton cashing in, winning the women's championship. Yeah, that's right. We didn't do last weekend, did we?
No. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Did we talk about the cash in?
Yep.
We did. Yep. Okay. This whole week has been a blur. My bad. But yeah, they were talking about basically the card, talking about the celebration that we're gonna have, talking about the Shinsuke and LA Knight match they're gonna have, and then they kick off with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman basically praises Cody Rhodes and says how great he is and how much he respects Cody. He asked Cody to come out, but he's like, respectfully, Roman Reigns is going to come back for the title and he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. When he begins to reply to Paul, out comes Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens starts running Cody down. Cody goes into the crowd and starts laying bombs on Kevin Owens' face. It's pretty good. Like I said earlier in the show, I think Kevin Owens interfering in that bloodline match to basically let or help the other bloodline win. I think all justifications on him attacking Cody have been just wiped away. So we had a really good segment there. Then we had Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga out there confronting Heyman, basically like they were going to attack him again. Jimmy Uso comes out, and Cody Rhodes comes out and helps and challenges them for a match later on that night. Pretty solid segment, I'd say. Then we had Chelsea Green versus Michin for the U.S. Women's Championship, and I know we say this every week, but Michin improving every single week. She is absolutely fantastic. I love that Piper Niven is the secret service for Chelsea Green. It's pretty great. Chelsea's character work is top tier, and I'm really happy that they made her the first champion because I couldn't think of anybody who's better fit for that role. Of course, Chelsea Green gets the win after kind of a dirty finish. Piper Niven came out and started attacking Michin after the match. So it looks like we're going to get another Piper Niven and Michin match, I'm assuming, or something in there. I just hope they don't go back and rely on like an Extreme Rules type thing with Michin again, because it's great, but it's like, how many times can we do a street fight?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't need to see a street fight 8,000 times.
Right. Then we had Motor City Machine Gun and DIY package. Really, really good backstage segment. A-Town Down Under came in to berate everybody, threatening to go to Raw. Pretty Deadly and Las Garza is made as a match, as is Motor City Machine Gun and A-Town Down Under. Las Garza and Pretty Deadly, man. Let's talk about that match.
What a fucking match.
Christ. Las Garza showed out heavy in that match. I'm really happy that Las Garza won.
Yep.
Way overdue and just absolutely fantastic in-ring action.
Yeah.
Pretty Deadly eventually would confront DIY saying, hey, I thought if we scratch your back, you scratch ours, and Ciampa gets in their face, and Gargano is still playing Peacemaker. I
don't want my back scratched by you too.
Ciampa's fantastic. I love it. Then we had another recap of Tiffany Stratton winning the title and talking about the celebration that's happening later that night. Yeah. LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura, U.S. Championship. Great match. And of course, we got a disqualification with the bloodline interference. Again, bleeding across the match cards. I love that Jacob Fatu has the reins completely taken off him. He's no longer on a leash. Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the promo that I'm referring to. Fatu just absolutely decimates LA Knight. Cody Rhodes and Jimmy Uso are here. They're hitting big kicks on Fatu. Commentary emphasizes that Solo is nowhere to be found, and that's when the challenge is made for the main event. Motor City Machine Guns versus A-Town Down Under. Man, I said this in the group chat when we were watching it. I have never seen tag team chemistry as great as these two guys are since the
Yeah.
Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken, they've been together for what, 10 plus years?
Yeah. Yep. Dude, and then A-Town Down Under was fucking phenomenal too.
Yeah. And I saw some people complaining online that they still haven't done anything with the whole Austin Theory situation. And I said, I think the Rumble would be the perfect time to start.
Yeah.
If that's even the plan still. And you got to remember, I think turning DIY heel and making the War Raiders champion, I think we're much more priority than DIY. I mean, than Austin Theory breaking from Waller right now. So,
Well, definitely.
It'll come. Then we had a backstage segment with Nia Jax saying that she's going to go congratulate herself and she's pissed off. Then we had the Tiffy time celebration. Super over with that crowd, man. I think Tiffany Stratton is the top of the top in terms of women talent. I think she's phenomenal.
Yeah. I agree.
We had that segment being stopped by the prettiest moonsault ever on all the competitors. Really, really fucking awesome visual. And It seems like there's going to be a fatal four-way match made right after that whole thing started. All the women killed it, man. Every single one of them. Bayley won that match, and I thought her rose plant was pretty fucking great.
Yeah. And she did it on her best friend.
Right. So I think Bayley might be the one responsible for Jade. Either her or Naomi. I don't know. I've narrowed it down to those two.
Maybe.
Or both.
Charlotte, too.
Yeah, but I feel like if it was Charlotte, she would have shown up by now. Because Charlotte's not like the attack behind type person.
Yeah, very true.
Am I wrong? I don't know. I might be wrong there.
No, you're right. Okay. Cousin Kyle on my TikTok.
Then we had a backstage with Cody and Jimmy Uso. Out comes Carmella, said, "Hey, you're by yourself now," and starts talking shit to Jimmy. And Jimmy's like, "What? What's that phrase you like to say?" He's like, "Mello don't miss." He's like, "Mello don't miss." He's like, "With all the damn bricks, you can build a house." He says, "No, yeet," and walks off. And the crowd popped pretty hard for that. Then next week, Bayley is then congratulated by Saxton. Bayley says her whole career has been taking advantage of opportunities. Blah, blah, blah. She's going to go after Stratton. Solo is going to return next week. Yippee. And next week, Las Garza. Then Las Garza is going to face Motor City Machine Guns next week. Jesus. Then Tama Tonga cut one of the best backstage promos I've ever heard. I'm sorry, not Tama Tonga, Fatu, my bad. Yeah. I thought the only reference he made that was kind of cringe was that Nightmare on Elm Street reference. I'm like, damn, bro, it's a little dated, but I'll accept it. Great match. I thought they did a very good job with everything they did. Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu won because of Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens and Rhodes fought back and forth into the crowd. Cody spears Kevin Owens through a table. Pretty gnarly ass bump from both guys. But I thought that was really cool to end the show on. SmackDown was pretty good, man. I think that was Triple H of telling the IWC to shut the hell up because SmackDown was super packed.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, SmackDown was great. Raw was great. I personally, in my opinion, I thought Raw was better. Hands down better. But SmackDown was great. I'm really excited to see this next week coming up because we got the finals for the Intercontinental Women's Championship match. We've got Chad Gable versus Mystery Luchador. I don't even remember who the fuck. What else we're having?
I think those are the matches that stand out.
Kaiser versus Sheamus.
All right, Kaiser versus Sheamus again.
And Raw has the moving graphics.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty great.
Yeah, so I hope that they have more matches on Raw. I hope that they continue on. But anyways, before we get going, Chris, what are you excited for this week, man? Wrestling.
I'm excited to see another Raw on Netflix to see how great this week is, because seems like we're going to be stepping away from the spectacle that is WWE to the in-ring storytelling stuff. So I hope we get the Final Testament and the Wyatt Six on TV, because I think we haven't done that in 2 weeks. I hope the New Day has another segment, if not a match. I think Gable versus said Luchador is going to be pretty fun.
Yeah. I honestly don't think that this feud between Rollins and Punk is over.
It's not. No way.
I think it's just starting, right?
Yeah.
Like
I think it's gonna boil at the Rumble.
Yeah. I think that it's gonna be as big, if not bigger than Punk and Drew.
Ooh, I don't know, man. I think like Drew's promo ability and everything he was able to do, I don't see that in Rollins to bring that out in Punk again.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Like, Rollins is great at what he does, but it's like after all the promos he cut, he lost the match. So it's like,
yeah. Well, that's why. That's why I don't think it's over. Right? I think it's just going to be one of those things where he, like, remember how the Undertaker won at WrestleMania against Triple H, but then, like, he wasn't able to walk out of the ring and he shaved his head. I think we're going to get a different, like, deep, dark heel side from Seth. Kind of like what they did with the Monday Night Messiah. But I think it's going to be, like, fucking that. Unhinged Rollins. And it's going to be great.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what Punk has to say this Monday. I'm really hoping that we get Rollins in some capacity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on the shelf right now, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I in particular loved Bronson Reed's internet engagement this past week. These have been great.
He's awesome.
He's a menace. He's being a menace. But yeah, man, I agree. I'm excited for Raw. I'm really excited for SmackDown. I'm driving up to Erie, Pennsylvania, 5.5 hour drive. So yeah, it shouldn't be too bad leaving Thursday, coming back next Monday. So I'm excited. Small little vacation, but so next week we won't be here because I'm going to be on vacation, but the following week we'll be here and I'll be streaming live on TikTok, and I'm going to try and figure out
what's that date. I just want to make sure that's not Rumble weekend, right?
No,
26th.
Yep. Okay. It's the weekend before the Rumble. You're going to the Rumble, aren't you?
Yeah, buddy.
Right, Chris is going to the Rumble in Indianapolis, so that's pretty awesome. But until next time, y'all, I hope you guys have a good week. Don't do anything we wouldn't do, and enjoy wrestling, enjoy life. And if TikTok does get shut down, I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of what we got. And I will be on Lemonade.
Deuces, ooses.
Deuces, ooses.
Hey, yeah, let's see how you do under pressure.